Welcome back, Nerd Squad. We have talked a lot about sexy alternate superheroes, but what's hotter than being good? Why, being bad, of course. So today we'll be exploring the world of alternates as it pertains to a more villainous group of characters, female supervillains. In the world of comics, there are a ton of women who are very good at being bad and managing to look amazing while hatching their evil schemes. In many cases, I would argue that in fact supervillains tend to be hotter than their heroic counterparts, just in general. And not just on the female side of things either. There are also a ton of hot male supervillains also. But what is it about someone being bad that is just so attractive? The danger, the confidence, the ego? Today we'll explore some of the reasons why we might find some of these characters and their alternates so darn attractive as we count down the top 10 hottest alternate female supervillains. And be sure to stick around to the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way. And be careful while watching. Some of these women are so hot and so evil, just the sight of them might cause the device you are watching on to go up in flames. Watch at your own risk. And with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get counting. Number 10, Boss Madam Hydra. I mostly wanted to include this alternate version of Madam Hydra because of her cool look in the comics. Though there is something problematic about this version of her, but we'll touch on that later. This version of Madam Hydra is married to MODOK, doesn't like wearing underwear, has a fork-like snake tongue, and wears a dress instead of her standard combat suit. She may have a hotter look, which is why I included her, but she is also kind of problematic. Granted, she is also a villain. As Madam Hydra, she sexually abuses her employees, including the main character from the comic that she appears in, Hank Johnson. Of course, this makes her a pretty terrible person, but she is Madam Hydra, and she is supposed to be a villain in the story even to Hank, who works for Hydra as an agent. So they obviously had to make her story-wise pretty terrible. Anyways, I just wanted to acknowledge that and say that it is her look that got her on the list rather than her treatment of her staff. Number 9, DC Legends Killer Frost. This version of Killer Frost comes to us from the video game DC Legends. She follows a similar origins to her main continuity counterpart, but has a different look. She still wears all black, but instead wears a corseted top and shorts, or a sleeveless romper, if they're connected. She has fur on her arm gauntlets and her boots have a dramatic heel, and she wears garters armed with ice shards. Her earrings also appear to be made of ice. Her legendary form in the game is more of a nod to her comic book appearance, but even this version is fire. Or ice, I guess. This version of Caitlin Snow wears a full-length bodysuit covered in ice spikes with cutouts for her fingers, shoulders, and a small chest cutout. Here her hair appears shorter and is styled upward, causing it to also resemble an ice spike. Number 8, Moonstone. This version of Carla Sofin comes to us from the Earth 7642, the crossovers. This version of Moonstone was originally a criminal turned government-approved leader of the Thunderbolts. She still has her rivalry with Ms. Marvel, but she also has a cool, futuristic-looking costume. Kinda looks like liquid metal, and has a chest cutout that also shows off her cleavage and just the top of Moonstone's abdomen. Abs. Also, shiny things are so sexy. I love some shiny things. Guess I'm like Kaylee and Firefly. Number 7, Healing Witch Poison Ivy. In the comic Batman/Demon: A Tragedy, Poison Ivy appears as a healer who aims to heal Bruce of his allergy to moonlight. She senses a dark presence within him and gives him an herbal treatment to help weaken the evil entity residing within him. This version of Ivy is like a mix of a naturopath meets a witch, appearing with voluminous and disheveled fiery locks covered in grass and flowers, wearing a small leafy bustier and a grass skirt. I also just love her nails. They're painted red and super pointy. She has big green eyes, a dramatic pouty lip, and a tiny little button nose. Sadly, this alternate version of Ivy is killed by Etrigan, who ends up being revealed as the Bat Demon who has been possessing Bruce. Number 6, Assassin WERE-CATWOMAN. This version of Catwoman comes to us from a medieval sort of fantasy world. In fact, the same world as the previous Poison Ivy I was just talking about. She is an assassin paid in gold by this world's Killer Croc to take out their reality's Batman. This version of Catwoman wears more armor on her arms than her body, and prefers to run around the city of Gotham with her mane of dark hair loose and flowing, and a very torn up version of her full body latex catsuit. Her armor gauntlets have claws and spikes attached, matching her buckled and spike covered pointed boots. Her mask also sports realistic and dramatic cat-like ears. In fact, this version of Catwoman also appears to be part werecat possibly, as she can also be seen with her head drawn back, face up as she howls at the moon above. Number 5, HELA, Goddess of Death. I know we normally call Hela the goddess of death. That is one of her titles in the main continuity of Earth 616, but this alternate of her from Earth 94001 is also known as the goddess of death. She comes to us from a reality where Loki ends up as the ruler of Asgard, but that's not the only difference in this reality. Hela also sports a different look. As opposed to her full-length bodysuit, she wears a sleeveless bodysuit more akin to a play suit or like a swimming suit. She also wears a mask that covers her hair and has a dramatic high-necked cape with thorns emerging from the back of it. Also, thigh-high boots, my fave. This version of Hela is also quite curvy and intimidating looking in comparison to Loki. She just looks like a big, powerful, and strong goddess here, and I am loving it. Actually, I love a lot of the ways the women are drawn in this comic. Number 4, HARLEEN. This version of Harley comes to us from the DC Black Label book, HARLEEN, with stunning artwork by Stephen Sedgwick. It's easy to see what makes this version of Harley so attractive. The art is a huge part of her appeal here, but this is also a steamy exploration of Harley's origin story, how she went from studying the Joker to falling for him, as she herself was lost to madness. It's like a weird, sexy story about a psychotic break, which is just all very Harley, to be honest. DC Black Label is also meant to be a more mature label for DC, which allows it to push the envelope when it comes to its series subject matter. Number 3, 2015 Secret Wars Selene. In the reality of the 2015 Secret Wars, Earth 19947, Selene is allied once more with Sebastian Shaw, and is also part of God Emperor Doom's court. She only appears briefly in issue 2 of Secret Wars, but I love her look here. Also, the artwork, which is Asad Rabish, the same artist as the one for the Loki series where the alternate Hela I mentioned appears. It is very classic Selene, her appearance here. Her wardrobe here is very classic Selene, much like Madeline Pryor's is also, and a look we haven't really seen Selene return to recently. This look is her in a corseted top with a black headband and cape. Black queen, so of course all black everything. One can assume she also might be wearing thigh-high black lace-up boots, and she also wears long black gloves and a black thong. Selene is the epitome of power and sexiness. I also just love her in a cape. I love everyone in a cape. Cape and thigh-high boots for everybody. Number 2, Pamela YSLEY. This version of Pamela comes to us from DC Bombshells. I know we have already talked about an alternate version of this villain, but this one is also so stunning, and I'm such a huge Poison Ivy fan, who isn't, that I had to also include her. Poison Ivy in the DC Bombshells universe was a smuggler working with the alternate version of Catwoman. Eventually, the Nazis took over her home city of Calais in France. Unhappy about then being forced to work for the Nazis instead, she ended up brewing and wearing a potent perfume whose scent was so strong that it made the Nazis pass out, allowing her to kill them and get revenge and escape. However, the perfume also turned her skin green, just how she got her classic iconic look in this alternate world. Number 1, DCEU Harley Quinn. Now, I couldn't do a list about hot female supervillains without talking about the brilliant and stunning talent that is Margot Robbie. Robbie portrays Harley Quinn in the DCEU films, and despite Suicide Squad not being as big of a success as the studio had hoped, her performance of Harley still managed to wow audiences. Margot Robbie just seems to really enjoy playing the character, and also seems to have a brilliant understanding of just what craziness makes Harley tick. Whether she's rocking her daddy's little monster shirt and sequin shorts in Suicide Squad, or kicking butt in various jaw-dropping, bright and bold outfits in Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, she is magic to watch on the screen. Nothing like someone as badass as Margot Robbie playing someone as badass as Harley Quinn. It's just a match made in hotness heaven. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Who do you think are some of the hottest supervillains out there? Who do you think is hotter supervillains, DC or Marvel? What is your favorite alternate world when it comes to the villain side of things? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to take to the comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Hottest Alternate Female Superheroes Part 2. Black Mask comments, Raven's outfit looks like Scarlet Witch's outfit, but in blue. It definitely has a similar vibe to it, though I feel like Raven would need that headpiece for it to be super Scarlet Witch. And she would also need light blue tights, in my opinion. But that play suit and the cape definitely give off some Scarlet Witch vibes for sure, which is not really a bad thing. Scarlet Witch's original costume is awesome. Brandon T suggests need to do top 10 hottest men, lol. Oh, I am ready for that list whenever we decide to make it happen. Let's talk about hot alt Dr. Doom and Joker. hotter. And there are so many hot male superheroes. We need to discuss their alternates too, all the hotness. And that is all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and opinions responded to in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.